in hand, engines on the rise, taking us with him through virtual skies.
To jets, he pilots them all. A captain of pixels, he answers the call. He loops, he banks, he dives with grace. The sky's his stage, his cockpit's the place.
Turbulence shakes, alarms might scream, but he's steady as a dream. Chat throws jokes, can you stick the land? He winks and says, I've got this plan. Oh, and an A3 Foxtrot, master of the air, gliding through the clouds like he's really there. Joystick in hand, engines on the rise, taking us with him through virtual skies. Sits in his cockpit, lit by a screen, fly in the skies where he's never been. Twitch chat buzzing like a tower call, an 83 Fox, he's got it all. With his wings of code, his heart of flight, he's soaring high, chasing the night. Oh man, A3 Foxtrot, master of the air, gliding through the clouds like he's really there. Joystick in hand, engines on the rise, taking us with him through virtual skies.
To jets, he pilots them all. A captain of pixels, he answers the call. He loops, he banks, he dives with grace. The sky's his stage, his cockpit's the place.
Turbulence shake. Sits in his cockpit, lit by a screen, fly in the skies where he's never been. Twitch chat buzzing like a tower call, an 83 Fox, he's got it all. With his wings of code, his heart of flight, he's soaring high, chasing the night. Oh man, A3 Foxtrot, master of the air, gliding through the clouds like he's really there. Joystick in hand, engines on the rise, taking us with him through virtual skies.
To jets, he pilots them all.
Hello again, everyone. Michael here with Felicity, November 8033 Fox. welcome back to the channel. It is Sunday the 7th of September 2025. I do feel like it's been a long time since I've done any sort of flying in the sim, any sort of flying for that matter at all. I have been pretty busy over this last week. I'm going to scoot over. So behind the simulator now is a brand new double wide door, so that is actually going to allow me to transport the simulator to the local fly-ins a lot more easily. So I no longer have to disassemble the whole thing to get it out. So I spent the last week, tearing out the back wall of the hangar, putting that door in and getting everything sealed back up. And 12.3.0 released this week as a public beta, so we're going to be flying beta 1 of that today. Duffy Fluffy, hello, how are you? Nice to see you as well. Welcome in. I hope you've been doing well since we spoke last. That's a cool print in the background, that cockpit poster there. Yeah, I need to relocate that. I had to take that down when I put the door in. So I'll relocate that at some point in time, probably hang it on the outside of the hangar wall somewhere. So several things. Today we're utilizing a fully networked experience of X-Plane Master and Visual. So the front display that we'll be seeing, that's running off of the Master X-Plane machine. That's also running my instructor station. And then the two side windows are running off of another machine. So it's going to be a truly networked visual experience, which is going to be kind of a first for me, because previously my master PC simply ran the flight model, instructor station, and it ran all of the flight controls. But all three displays, and when I had the fourth one there, the fourth one as well, they were all run off of one PC. So I'm interested to see how well the networked visuals are going to go. Other neat thing with 12.3 is, previously if we had like hardware, GPS hardware, or G1000, we would have to pop a window out and drag that window over to the additional monitor and, place the pop out window there, or use Air Manager to sort of stream. Gauge streaming, some of that stuff. Well, 12.3 now allows us to, place that information directly on a hardware screen. So, our 430 is now going to be coming directly from X-Plane. It's no longer coming from Air Manager. So that's going to be kind of a unique to kind of see how well that works out. Previously with the pop-out windows, that would be kind of an FPS hit, especially if your 430 or 530 or G1000 was on a different graphics card than X-Plane was running on. So my initial testing so far looks like there's no performance hit at all by sending that 430 directly from X-Plane over to the physical hardware. So, a few different things we'll be trying out today. The only caveat is currently, for me, is that, the software that I use for warping. Duffy Fluffy, I am. So, like, all of the gauges, the instruments, and the two GPSs, and the two G5s in there. The two G5s run off of one video card. The two GPS units run off of another video card. And then the gauge display and this front display run off of the RTX 3090. All three of those video cards are in one PC. And then the two side displays that are 1080, they're on another 3090 in the other PC. So there's a total of 4 different graphics cards right now. 2 of them are running X-Plane, 2 of them are running instrumentation for X-Plane. Hopefully that helps clear things up a little bit. because my GPU, the 3090, it still only has 4 outputs, and I run a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 displays, including the instructor station, and it does require a lot of power. Both PCs are equipped with a 1000 watt Corsair power supply unit, and they seem to be working out just fine. What else here? There's something else. Oh, I was talking about the display warping. I use Immersive LCD Pro, to kind of warp all the displays and configure everything to get all of the alignment right. But since I'm now using 2 PCs for the visuals, now I need 2 licenses for that software. So the one is still in trial mode, so there is going to be a watermark on our front display. It's kind of higher on the screen, so hopefully it doesn't cause too much of an interference. I didn't want to make the investment in the other license for Immersive LCD Display Pro until I knew performance-wise that everything is going to do what I want it to do. And now I'm good with these RTX 3090s. They should last me for a while. To put it into perspective, I just put a 3090 in the master machine, and it was running an old 1080. So that's a significant improvement from what it was to what it is now. I'm not gonna justify the 40 series or 50 series just yet. So, all of that being said, again, welcome on in. Hopefully we'll have some fun today. We're going to be working on leg 4 of the West Coast to East Coast tour. 60 series Duffy Fluffy asks. Yeah, they'd have to be really good prices, and remember, I would have to buy 2 of them. I want to keep things identical across the board. So they'd have to be a really good price for me to consider doing that. So let's take a look at our overall flight plan. This is sort of the overall plan, far West Coast to far East Coast tour. And we're breaking it down into legs. And if we zoom in, we've done 3 legs already. We went from Seattle to, what is this, Grant County. Then we flew down to Pullman, Moscow Regional. And then we flew over to Stevensville, 3-2 Sierra. And that's where we're on the ground at currently. So let's take a look here and find our next leg to proceed eastbound. I try to find airports that have fuel available, and preferably with at least a beacon. It seems like if we continue east, see, all of these are all private. Alright, here's Deer Lodge City. It has a beacon, but it doesn't look like it has fuel. FBOs. Okay, well, TC Aviation there does look like they sell 100 low lead for $5.05 a gallon. So that could work. How far away? What's the length of that? That's about 50 miles. Can we find one that's a little bit further? Flying Ranch. No, that's not what I'm looking for. Helena Regional. That's a Delta. It does have a beacon. And it does have fuel also. $5.98 a gallon. That price was 2 months ago. So that could be a bit more nowadays. So we can maybe consider that one. It looks like it's maybe about 80 miles. That might work out. 85 miles. I think I want to do that. So let's plan 32 Sierra to Kilo Hotel Lima November. And then what I'm gonna do is save this. Okay. And then we'll clear this flight plan out and we'll go Three Two Sierra, and then that was Kilo Hotel Lima November. One error. Cruise altitude below airport elevation. Yes. What is the airport elevation? 3877. 3614. So let's cruise. We're heading east. Let's just say 5500. We might modify that once we get a bit better understanding of the terrain. But I think 5500 will be a good one to plan. And what we'll do is go ahead and pack for this leg. Because for flight, I have to do it all as an individual leg for planning purposes and for flight, because if I have all these waypoints along the way, it kind of treats it as one continuous flight. And that's not what I want to do. I want to plan, leg by leg by leg. So the distance is about 86 nautical miles. We'll send this over to a flight. Okay. Now, send this to a flight, and then we'll go ahead and brief this. I want to thank everyone for coming in and hanging out today. I hope your weekend has went well. Okay, so it does look like there's a TFR, temporary flight restriction. That's going to be almost just north of... Looks like it's going to be north of our route here. Firefighting aircraft operations. Okay. We'll definitely need to be south of that area. Closed or unsafe NOTAMs, runway 05 and 23 at Hotel Lima November is closed. So we'll keep that in mind. Convective segments, there's one, looks like about 80 miles to the southeast of us, near Billings, Montana. Shouldn't really affect our flight, but definitely something good to know about. Mountain obscuration. Mountains can obscure our vision. They can get in the way. And if we take a look here, we're just kind of at the border of what they're calling that obscuration area. Surface analysis chart. Doesn't look like there's much system in the area there currently. Looks like a low pressure system. Just moved it through the east. And how old is this? Updated. Okay, so this is a couple hours old. METARs, it's definitely not a whole lot in the area. There's one METAR at our destination field. Looks like there's one about 40 miles south of our flight and one about 40 miles north of our flight. So our weather information, we might have to kind of extrapolate based on what we read here. But everything is VFR. I see one overcast layer at 13,000 feet. I don't see any broken and overcast. You know, that's our ceiling, especially if we're VFR. And, you know, we need to be 500 feet below any of those ceilings. So that's really about all the weather information we're given. We've got, you know, METAR 40 miles north and 140 miles south. And then at our destination. Destination looks like winds are out of the west at 8 knots. 10-mile visibility. A few clouds at 12,000 feet. Temperature 29, dew point 0.02 Celsius. Altimeter 299.6. Yeah. So when we get to the plane, we'll have to set our altimeter to field elevation. That's going to give us the best barometric pressure possible, as opposed to trying to guess from either of these two METARs. Cloud coverage. You know, we're kind of right in this area here. There's that broken 15,000, broken 14,000. So there may be some clouds above us, but nothing that's going to prevent us. Visibility, surface winds, and precipitation. You know, all of these symbols do mean something. It's got precipitation amounts. It's got wind speeds. You know, if you're really curious, there's a legend that you can access. They don't put the legend here on this particular chart. But there is a legend available on the NOAA's website. Terminal area forecast, again, not much they can really tell us with a few reporting stations, but it could transition to marginal by the time we get there. Wind chart. The wind, you know, if we're looking at this chart here, it starts at the point and it works its way towards the black dot. You know, so it looks like we are going to have a tailwind most of the way. And again, each of these does mean something. These little short skinny lines here, that's indicative of about 5 knots or so. Okay, here's a longer line. That's about 10 knots. If you had a long line and a short line, that'd be about 15 knots or so. Vertical cross-section chart. Okay, this is interesting. Not always something that... I love this chart, but I don't necessarily like what I'm seeing here. We may have to increase our altitude. We may have to fly around some things. But the blue line, that's our planned cruise. That's our climb, our cruise at 5,500 feet, and then our descent. The green, that is all terrain. That's average terrain in the area. It looks like terrain is averaging about 8,000 feet from the looks of it. I'm not entirely sure what that yellow box is indicative of. I can honestly say I don't recall ever seeing one of those on this particular chart. So in fact, I'm just going to screenshot this so that I can research that later. Winds aloft, about 6 knots or so at 5,500 feet on departure. And then on arrival was about 9 knots. Which correlates to that, you know, little short line we were just talking about, you know, 5 knots or so. Departure NOTAMs, nothing there. It's a very small airport, nothing to report. Destination NOTAMs, as we discussed earlier. One of those runways is closed. Runway. Interesting. Okay, so there it is. 0523 closed daily. Other than that, nothing major. Yeah, nothing major there. So we will just know and plan not to use 05 or 23. But it is a Delta. You know, if we do have VATSIM coverage in the area, you know, they'll assign us a landing runway anyway. En route navigation NOTAMs. You know, if we were on an IFR trip, we'd want to pay attention to these. You know, there could be a VOR that's not working, or you know, something. If there's something that could, you know, mess up our IFR, you know, we definitely want to pay attention to navigation NOTAMs. Then I'm going to skip over a lot of these other NOTAMs. ARTCC NOTAMs, going over our new craft checklist, known ATC delays. This is where we would find information about that. Return to beginning. Okay. So we'll give this flight a go. I think the weather's going to be fine. I think our only concern might be terrain. And, you know, we'll just have to climb or work around, or we'll just figure out as we go. Other than that, I think everything else is good. Pre-flight and walk around is already done. The plane is fully fueled. And I think that's about it. Again, we are going to have that watermark on the front display. You know, you can kind of barely see it there through the clouds. But again, until I know that this whole thing performs how I want it to, I'm not going to invest in another license just yet. So I think we're good. I will see you over at the aircraft momentarily. Thanks for coming in.
Teammate is up. Mic check when ready.
Alright, hello everyone, and welcome aboard, Felicity. My name is Michael. I will be your pilot today, and I can already tell you what I'm seeing right now is rain on my front windshield, but nothing on the side windows, and that's still part of X-Plane's networking weather. It's still trying to get all of that to synchronize, but the cloud cover looks really good, because again, these two sides are on one computer and the front's on another, and it does look to blend really well. So I'm not too upset about the lack of rain currently on the side windows. Alright. Let's get some times here. 8:24, that was the last leg we did. And what is it now? September 7th. And we're in a 172F. You know, I am filling out this logbook here, just for this west to east coast tour, because I am curious as to how many hours it is going to take us to complete this thing. And we're at 32S. Okay, and we're going to Kilo Hotel Lima November. And we can't put times in just yet. But what I can do is grab the tack time. It's 1084.5. And our hums. What is that? 31.8. Okay. And then the rest of that we fill out upon landing. And we do have Shirley on board with us. Hello, Shirley. How are you today? How are you doing?
Shirley back in a Cessna 172F. Assistant mode active. Looking good for another leg.
All right. So let's grab our checklist here. Go through our flows. Walk around was good. Quick safety acronym. Seat belts, air vents, fire extinguishers behind us. If you see a plane, please tell me about it. Your door opens outward. Both doors open outward. You get out the same way you get in. And do you have any questions? Man, that was short and sweet. The full safety briefing is pinned on my Twitch channel should anybody wish to see that. But I was going to spare us the whole 10 minutes on that. Circuit breakers are all in. Alt static errors in. Okay, move right along here. Seat track, let me get scooted up here so I can reach flight controls. That feels good there. Okay, and I'm gonna have to do some, right away I'm gonna have to do some brightness balance adjustments. You know, this is all tarmac, this is all the ramp, and the front display certainly appears to be a lot brighter than the sides here. So that's something I'll have to configure at some point in time. I'm not gonna do it now. The concern is just to see how the visuals seem to match up with each other, and weather and synchronization. You know, when I pitch the airplane or roll the airplane, you know, I don't want to see any sort of lag between front and sides. You know, I want it to be one fluid motion. because then we just totally lose our immersion if we have to wait for something to catch up. Because again, this is the first time we're actually doing true networked visuals. Okay, avionics are off, carpeets off, mixture full rich, throttle slight, okay, primer, let's go, slowly pull it out, slowly push it in, there's one, slowly pull it out, slowly push it in, there's two, and then we'll do one more, slowly pull it out, slowly push it in. There's three. Okay, primer is in and locked. Brakes are gonna go on. Master's gonna go on. Okay, and beacon on. Clear prop. Looks like we're clear left, clear right, clear front. And here we go. Mags to start. Right away, I'm looking for oil pressure and RPM. Okay, let me see here. Feel like okay, that's on there. Okay, that's good. Alright. Looks good there. Okay. I'm gonna step out and check something. And just gonna leave the engine running for now. Let it warm up. I need to go check a audio output source real quick. Okay, that's working now. The two bass modulators, sound haptics, vibration things, whatever you want to call them, there's one under each seat. And when I had the unit unplugged, when I was putting that door in, forgot to turn the amplifier back on. So, should be good now. Let's get strapped back in here. Okay. Checklist. Okay. Alright. Let's go ahead and get our landing light on for now. We do have oil pressure and RPM, so that's good. Okay, moving right along to our pre-taxi checklist. Seat belts on, flaps are up. Let's get avionics on. There's bus 1, bus 2. And yeah, so the 430 is working. Again, this is now coming.
TOS system test okay.
This is coming directly from X-Plane. You know, in your graphic settings, you know, before when we had the drop-down menu, it would say instructor station, full screen simulator, windowed simulator, unused. Now if you click that, you have all these different options. So it's just a matter of selecting, which navigation unit you want displayed on which display, and then it gives you an adjustment to like the margins or whatnot. So if it's slightly tall or slightly narrow, you can adjust that to make it fit the screen exactly the way you need it to. So that's coming directly from X-Plane. X-Plane doesn't have G5s, so these are still coming from Air Manager. And of course the 650 is coming from TDS-SIM, which is a great piece of software utilizing the real Garmin trainer. So, okay. Avionics good. Altimeter. We don't have weather information here where you're at. We do know that the field elevation is 3,614 feet. So, if we set that 3,614 feet, that puts us right around 3015. We're on Unicom, CTAF, okay. Mississippi Center, yeah, I don't think that's going to benefit us currently. I think that's a bit a ways away. Yeah, alright, so we're on our own, and we'll treat the Delta just like we would any other airport with CTAF. Okay, oil temperature's up. What else we got here? Transponder. Let's get that on altimeter mode. I keep saying altimeter, it's altitude reporting mode. Transponder, okay. Altimeter's set. ADS-B's tied to our 650, so that's good. Brakes we'll test on the roll, as well as our attitude indicator and turn coordinator. But let's set our heading indicator to compass right now. Looks like right about there. This is my new angle of attack indicator, fully functional. Comes from RH Simtech out of the United Kingdom. In fact, I run his trim wheel, his ELT, and Hobbs meter. Okay. I think we're good. I think we're ready to taxi. Parking brake off. Let's do a quick brake check. Okay, so there was a little bit of that's not what I wanted. No, I didn't mess my view up. That'll work. There's a little bit of wavering there between the front and the side. I'm not sure if I'm gonna like that, but we'll see. Okay, brakes are good. Attitude indicator and turn coordinator, we'll check those on the roll. Okay, so we're at Stevensville, and we decided that we want runway 30 for the winds coming out of the west, right? Yeah. We got full fuel, okay. Stevensville traffic, Skyhawk 8033 Foxtrot is at the ramp, and we're going to be taxiing runway 30 Stevensville. We're getting 60 FPS on our side monitors. That's a significant improvement. Yeah, that color variation is really kind of annoying. I'm sure it's quite noticeable on camera too. I might have to change some settings in the front display. In fact, I think I'll see if I can do that real quick. Just seems very, very bright. See if I can do that from here. Picture settings. Display brightness, dark. Okay, so that's not what we want. Customize picture. Backlight. Color. Game mode on. Okay. Expert settings, what is that? Gamma correction, color temperature, normal, warm. Is warm any better? Or cool? Definitely not cool. Let's try warm. At least that looks a bit better for me. I have a color adapter thing, and it actually can calibrate all the displays. I just haven't done that lately. It literally sits on the monitor, goes through its whole color flashing thing, and then it dynamically adjusts. It adjusts these monitors automatically. The TV I have to manually adjust because it doesn't have the control from the PC like monitors do. But it looks a little bit better, I think. It's not perfect. Stevensville traffic, Skyhawk 8033 Foxtrot. I'm going to be doing a run up here just short of the hold short line, runway 30 Stevensville. Okay. Brakes are on, fuel is on both trim, is set for takeoff, flight controls, down on the right, up on the left, down on the left, up on the right, and we run it through a box pattern, make sure there's no binding or anything. Okay, instruments, nothing on the annunciator panel, mixtures in for best power, primers in and lock, let's hold those brakes maximum. Go 1600 RPM. Alright. Left mag, there's a drop. Let's get back to both. Right mag, there's a drop. Back to both. Carb heat, there's a drop. Okay. Carb heat off. Suctions in the green. Oil pressure and oil temperature look good. Got good fuel flow. Manifold pressure looks good. Alright, let's idle back. Hey Shirley, did I miss anything on that run up? Were you paying attention?
All items checked normal from what I observed. Mags, carb heat, oil temps, and control surfaces. Ready when you are.
Alright, sounds good, Shirley. We're ready to go. I'll make the traffic call. Stevensville traffic, Skyhawk 8033 Foxtrot. We're taking runway 30, 45 degree departure to the left. Stevensville. Okay, strobes going on. Pre-takeoff.
Strobes and nav lights coming on. Landing and nav lights on. Flaps up, mixture rich, carb heat cold, ready for takeoff on runway 30.
Alright, doors and windows. Okay, that's good. That's good.
Ready for your takeoff roll. I'll keep an eye out for traffic.
Runway 30. Entered runway 30. 3,700 feet remaining.
Alright, here we go. Full power. Rudder for center. Alright, we're in the green. Airspeed's alive. Let's go ahead and rotate. We have positive rate.
Positive.
We have mountains in front of us. Okay. Let's go ahead and... Okay, what were we at? 36, 400 feet. Let's go ahead and make our turn at 500 AGL. We got terrain. Normally I like to wait till at least like 700, but we'll do it at 5. Okay. That's good. Airport vehicles should all be synchronized across displays. Autogen vehicles, not so much. That's a limitation. So if a car passes through here on the road, I'm not necessarily going to see the same vehicle continuing the road. Man, why did I need to figure out why that's doing that? I'm gonna have to go and reset that view here momentarily. Alright, let's grab the downwind. Okay. Alright, destination is Kilo Hotel Lima, November. Helena Regional. Direct to 072. I think what I need to do is get a mini keyboard for the master machine and bring it in here as well. That way I have that control. Yeah, because this is really kind of breaking my immersion right now. So let me just pause this real quick. And then I'm gonna go and reset this view. Yeah, that looks better. And I need to change that view setting so that if I bump that hat switch, it doesn't do that no more. So I'll make a note to do that. Strapped back in. And here we go. Yeah, those broken horizons were really kind of throwing me off. Yeah, so we're gonna have to climb, I can tell you that much. Let's just go ahead and start climbing now. We got terrain ahead of us and we're not nearly high enough. We're on a 072 heading. Yeah, 5500 is not going to do it. We might actually have to kind of S-turn and climb to get enough altitude before we get to that ridge there. Clean that mixture out. Alright, we're almost 6,000 feet. And then I can show you what X-Plane sees out the front window. we doing? We gonna make it over that? I don't know, kinda sketchy. Hey Shirley, what's a good safe altitude for this part that we're flying in?
For crossing the Bitterroot Mountains ahead, recommend minimum 8,500 feet MSL for safe terrain clearance. Consider a climbing 360 if needed to gain altitude before proceeding eastbound.
Yeah, Shirley, we might do that. Let's just do what you just said, a climbing 360. Good call.
Initiating the climbing 360 to the left now. We'll keep this 1,000 FPM climb rate going until we reach a safer altitude.
No, we're doing this climb to the right, not to the left.
Roger that. Continuing climbing right turn. Terrain rises sharply ahead, so we'll maintain this climb until at least 8,500.
Roger. And Shirley, tell me more about the Bitterroot Mountains, or whatever you called them.
The Bitterroot Mountains we're crossing form the border between Montana and Idaho, running north-south for about 300 miles. They're part of the Rocky Mountains, with peaks reaching over 10,000 feet, first mapped by Lewis and Clark during their famous expedition. Pretty rugged territory we're climbing through.
Interesting. Thanks, Shirley. Didn't know that. The one random log cabin down there.
Must be quite a view of that lone cabin in the wilderness. The Bitterroots are pretty remote. Lots of designated wilderness areas down there. Perfect place for someone looking to get away from it all.
Oh, it's definitely away from it all.
Indeed. At over 8,500 feet now, looking much better for terrain clearance. Ready to roll out on our eastbound heading of 072 whenever you'd like.
Alright, we're going to continue this roll until we get onto our heading. Alright, that looks better. Let's trim for this. There certainly is not a whole lot of margin for error. Like if our engine quit now, I'm looking at possible places to land and I'm not seeing a whole lot of anything good. We'd get more gliding time if, we picked a valley and just but not knowing what's at the bottom of that valley is also kind of, what's what I'm looking for? Um, Scary, I guess. I've got this whole valley down here, but if that's a body of water down there, that might not work out so good. Alright, let's double check our heading indicator, the compass here. That thing definitely drifted on me. Because it's old and lazy and the gyros don't work as good as they used to. What in the world is that? Is that a balloon? I think that's a balloon. Thought I had those disabled, maybe not. So there's not a whole lot of input variation. I just think that the front has some micro stutters for some reason. I'll have to delve into that at some point. Although, what I can say is that the clouds are spanning all of the displays nicely. So that's working. Cloud cover is working. Okay, let's take a look at our cruise checklist here. Power mixture instruments. Charlie, no fun. I do love it. I mean, I've used it for years. this flight is my first flight where I'm running a true network visual. So my licensed copy is on these two side displays, and I wanted to make sure that performance-wise everything would work how I like it before I made the investment in another license. So, but for me it works wonders. I really enjoy it because I can calibrate. You know, I can. Yeah, it really is great. It works really great for X-Plane. It works pretty much okay for Flight Simulator, which is, I'm pretty sure that's what I recommended to you at one point in time. If you're who I'm thinking about with the Cessna 150 fuselage. Or 152, I forget what it is. Hi 15GD! Thanks for the raid, welcome on in, welcome raiders. My name's Michael. Welcome aboard Felicity. We're flying leg 4 of my West Coast to East Coast tour. We're in the middle of nowhere. In between Montana and Idaho. Okay, Charlie. Yeah, I thought that was you. I know I haven't talked to you in a while, but I'm glad that's working out for you. Yeah, it's really great to be able to just put in all your dimensions and measurements of your displays and pretty much have it calculate everything, and then it'll even warp your displays to it basically takes flat surfaces and turns them into a sphere, so it's kind of like having curved projector screen without the curved projector screen. So yeah, that's my one caveat today is we're using the trial version on the front display. Fortunately, the watermark's sort of above the horizon, so not terrible. Unironically, flying to the airport, I work the ramp as the ultimate destination. Oh, interesting. Yeah, it really does help, especially with pattern work, because you can judge your distance a lot easier, in my opinion, anyway. Yeah. You work for Piedmont at BGR, huh? Well, that's cool. That's our all the way over here. Yep, that's at Class Charlie in Maine. That's that's the final destination for this West Coast to East Coast tour is BGR. So the total trip, was like, what is it, like 2,600 miles, something like that. So we're going here, and we are all the way right here. We're getting there, slowly but surely. Nope, not today. This is it's gonna be about probably 24, 25 legs by the time all is said and done. And I started this mostly because, a lot of times I found myself lacking of, where do I want to fly, what do I want to do. Unless there was a major event going on VATSIM or something like that, I just had difficulty trying to come up with something. Yeah, that's why I decided to do this. Plus, I'm really curious as to how long it does actually take. I'm sorry that your flight lesson got weathered out. I always hated when that happens. And especially if you wait, so long to, schedule any, lessons and in between lessons. And yeah, it's just always kind of a bummer when they get weathered out. That is for sure. Alright, so we got this TFR here. I told you we need to stay south of that, so I'm gonna steer so that we don't bust that TFR. That's firefighting operations going on right now. Alright, that ought to work. We'll try that. Stay south of that TFR. Interesting.
Caution, TFR ahead.
Yes, yes there is. Okay. Power mixture instruments, everything's looking good there. Looks like we're about 48 miles from our destination of Helena. I don't know if it's Helena or Helena Regional. Kilo Hotel Lima, November. Dylan 1496, thank you for the channel follow. Greatly appreciate it. Okay. Alright, let's talk a little bit about where we're going. Helena Regional field elevation is 3,877 feet. Pattern is 4,877, so that's standard. Fuel is available. They do have an ILS, GPS approach, VOR approach, localizer approach, RNAV, or RNP. So definitely plenty of approaches if we needed to fly one of those. Runway 0523 is closed at night by NOTAM. Daytime use only. It's fair asphalt, that's 4,600 feet. And then runway 09er and 27, 9,000 feet long, good asphalt. Right traffic off of 27. That's 9,000 by 150 wide. And then 10 and 28 is 1,500 feet long by 75 feet wide grass. So that one could be fun. And then 1735, fair asphalt, 3,000 feet. And then again, right traffic off of runway 35. Plenty of approaches available. Weather right now is reporting VFR, winds out of the west, 290 at 7 knots. Visibility is 10 with few clouds at 12,000. That's the other thing I need to figure out, because so before I made the front display, so before I separated them all, the master X-Plane machine audio was coming to the headset, so I could hear the prop and the radio sound and the button clicks, and you could hear it too through the headset, just how I had it configured. But when I moved the display over, in order to take advantage of the sound bar and the exterior sound, I had to change the sound output on the master machine to the front display, which unfortunately removed it from the headphones. So I need to figure out a way to split that somehow. I want to be able to split that. I want to be able to take X-Plane sound and have it output to 2 different devices, if that makes sense. Right now I'm limited to 1. And I can't move the headset over to the other PC because VATSIM, Pilot Edge, XPilot, all the ATC services run on the master machine. So I'll figure something out. Okay, there are railroad tracks down below us, it looks like. Yeah, I see railroad tracks. So, if the unfortunate event, if our engine quit, what would we do? Not nearly as mountainous as those Bitterroot Mountains that we kind of crossed over a little bit ago. Not nearly as terraneous. So we got a lot more options here, but do we have the gliding distance to make those options? You know, landing on railroad tracks probably not something that I want to do. Not at all. Not even a little. I'd rather take my chance in a field. Hey Shirley, is there anything interesting in the area that we're flying over, flying around? Anything you can tell me?
We're flying over Montana's Helena Valley, historically rich from the gold rush days. Below us is the Montana Rail Link line that follows the Missouri River. The valley is surrounded by the Big Belt Mountains to the east and the Elkhorn Mountains to the south. Helena, our destination, was actually founded during the gold rush. They found gold in what's now called Last Chance Gulch.
Huh, interesting. Thanks for sharing. Shirley is our AI co-pilot from Airplane Team. We're flyshirley.com. It is a subscription.
Thanks for the
It is a subscription service, but she's worth the payment. And she's more than just a tour guide. I mean, Shirley can help us with, you know, aircraft controls. You know, if I wanted her to, you know, engage autopilot functions, or if I wanted her to swap, you know, frequencies, or, you know, tune a frequency, Shirley can do all that. Hey Shirley, why don't you go ahead and tune guard for us 121.5. Put that on COM2 standby, and then go ahead and make it active for me.
guard frequency 121 tuned and active on QM2.
No, I see you tuned it in standby, Shirley. It's only tuned. I want you to go ahead and swap that. Make that active for me. Interesting. Hey, Shirley, swap COM2 frequencies for me.
Sorry, I'm having trouble with the radio swap function right now. You may need to swap QM2 manually to make guard active.
Alright, I'll go ahead and take care of that, and we'll make a note to let Alex know about your difficulty swapping those frequencies.
Thanks for letting me know about the radio swap issue. I see we're about 30 nautical miles from Helena now, cruising at 10,300 MSL. Let me know if you'd like any airport or approach info as we get closer.
How about the weather? Can you give me the weather at Helena? Hey, she timed out. Because I do a lot of streaming, I have there's a setting, you know, like if you don't say anything for a couple of seconds, then you have to, you know, mention her again. And I have that for like 2 seconds. So I do, and you can disable assistant mode and then you carry on a conversation throughout the entire course of your flight. Just depends on how you want to use her. Hey Shirley, can you get me the weather at Helena Airport?
Let me check that for you. Helena weather. Wind 290 at 7 knots. Visibility 10 miles. Few clouds at 12,000. Temperature 27. Dew point 2. Altimeter 29.96.
Alright, thank you, Shirley. And let's go ahead and initiate a bit of a descent now. We're about 10,000 feet. I don't think we need to be that high anymore. Again, field elevation is like 3,800.
Roger that. Starting descent from 10,000. With field elevation at 3,877 feet, recommend planning for pattern altitude of 4,877 feet MSL. Helena traffic is using runway 27 with right traffic.
Good job, Shirley.
Destination ATIS is 120.4.
Oh, I forgot to enable the X-Plane ATIS after I connected to VATSIM. That's why we're not getting it. Do we want to try the short one? I think we ought to try the short one. Let's do the grass. So that's going to be runway 28. And it's south, is just south of their big long runway, closer to the west end. There's a lot of other little private airports around here too, looks like. I'm just not sure if they're all modeled in X-Plane. Switching that mixture up a little bit, pull some power back, trim for this descent. Carb heat's on. Heading indicator to compass. Yeah, okay, so yeah, they definitely got clouds and lighting and all of that synchronized. The only thing I noticed was the rain effects. It was only raining on the front display, not on the sides. So that was the only discrepancy with weather that I've seen during this first network visual test. But that's a known issue, is the rain. But we do have now this low layer cloud here that's not showing, it's not rendering on this on the front display. Yeah, so based on what I'm seeing out the sides right now, like we should be in some pretty low visibility stuff through the front. And this low layer cloud did not render. So I don't know. I don't know if I enjoy it. Like, the performance is great, but I don't know if that bit of a performance increase is worth the visual differences. Helena traffic, Skyhawk 8033 Foxtrot, about 10 miles west of the field. We're going to be joining a 45 to grab a left downwind for runway 27, Helena. Correction, Helena traffic, we're going to make a 45 left downwind, runway 28, Helena. Yeah, we're going for the grass. That's right. We got 7.8 miles. We are 7,400 feet. Field elevation is 3,800. We want 4,877 for pattern. 48, 58. So we need to lose about 2,500 feet still. Now, mind you, this weather. This only affects live weather. If we were on a preset, it would be the same across. I will say that much. And you know, if you're training with a double I and using the simulator, generally they're using presets anyway. But I do hope at some point that Laminar is able to synchronize all weather facets across the visual displays. Because why not? Well, if we had this visibility up front, we'd have to be on an instrument approach anyway. So maybe for now, I'm kind of glad it's not, because we didn't brief an instrument approach.
Class Delta below.
Walker 125, welcome in, buddy. Thank you so much for resubscription to the channel. How are you doing? How are you, sir? We're running network visuals for X-Plane today, testing it out. You know, so 2 PCs, 1 PC running the sides, 1 PC running the front display, and we're noticing that we have some weather and cloud discrepancies. Well, more so just cloud rendering. I mean, the weather's the same across, but yeah. Where are we at? 6,200. Still not quite there. Can I identify this grass runway? I wonder if it's even modeled. Oh yeah, I see it. Okay, oh that's short. 1,500 feet. We got this. We'll do this. Oh, I'm still high to be too high to be entering the pattern now. Still a bit too high. Tell you what, let's go ahead and circle. We want 4877 for pattern. So we're just gonna descend a little bit in a circle. Oh, watch out for that mountain. Airspeed's 80 miles per hour, okay. 500 AGL, okay. We're 5,000. 4877 is close enough to 4,900, right? Yep. Okay, so now we're good to enter pattern. Helena traffic, Skyhawk 8033 Foxtrot is joining the left downwind for runway 28 in the grass. Yeah, 28 in the grass, Helena. Make sure rich. Alright, here's the downwind. Alright. Helena traffic, Skyhawk 8033 Foxtrot is turning left base, runway 28 in the grass, Helena. Flaps 10. Helena traffic, Skyhawk 33 Foxtrot, turning left base to final approach, 28 in the grass, full stop, Helena traffic. Oh. Yeah, it's there. It's short, but it's there. Flaps 2. Watch our airspeed.
1 mile final runway 2A.
500.
Okay, it's trim. Trim for this. 70 miles per hour, okay. Tell you what, let's go 30 flaps. Alright. It's there. It's small, but it's there. Watch our speed. Alright, drop the power.
Nice landing on the grass strip. Want me to time your landing roll for you?
Yeah, please, Shirley, do that. Okay, flaps up. Alright, there we are. Not gonna come to a full stop. I don't like to stop on the grass runway. Just takes more power to get going again.
Approaching runway 0523.
0523.
Entered runway 0523.
No, this should be Bravo. Isn't this Bravo? Yeah. This is taxiway Bravo. I can tell you, Hawker, that this runway was, well, as I plow myself off the taxiway looking down at my iPad, 1,584 feet long by 75 feet wide, according to my ForeFlight chart here. This is Kilo Hotel Lima November, Helena Regional. Alright, so where's fuel? Well, let's just go over here. Alright, there's fuel trucks over there. Nope. It's November. Kilo Hotel Lima November. Alright, there's a nice parking T over here, just for me, because they were waiting on me, probably. No, they really weren't. But it's by a fuel truck, so that works. Man, everyone points this way? Okay, I guess we'll point this way, too. Okay, alright. That worked out. Okay, did the landing part. Okay, let's get our strobes off, nav lights off, landing light off. We'll leave our beacon on for now. Okay, transponder, that's good there. Trim, let's get trim reset for takeoff. Okay, that's good. Alright, okay, ELT is silent. If it wasn't silent, we would hear this. So it's definitely silent. Avionics gonna go off. Okay. Make sure lean. Mags to off. Master off. Beacon off. Parking brake on. Alright, let's get some times here. Tech time now 1085.7. And Hobbs 33.0. So that's 31.8. So 1.2. Okay. 1.2. Total duration of flight was 1.2. Single engine land, it's 1.2. Then cross country is also 1.2. PIC is also 1.2. Okay. Alright, so that was leg 4. And so far we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5.8 hours for this total tour so far. I can tell you I'm going to have to print out another one of these log sheets, because we're going to fill this up by the time we complete this West Coast to East Coast tour. Alright, hey Shirley, anything you want to debrief today? It's great to have you on board like always.
Nice work on that grass strip landing. It was a good call to keep rolling rather than come to a full stop on the soft surface. One note from our flight. We had that interesting weather rendering discrepancy between displays, particularly with the low cloud layer visibility. I'll make sure that gets logged. Otherwise, solid leg across the Bitterroots with good terrain awareness and pattern entry. Until next time.
Alright, Shirley, take care. We'll see you later. And the rest of you, I will see you back at the hangar. We'll do a bit of a debrief. Alright, everyone. I want to say thank you for coming in and hanging out today for leg 4 of our West Coast to East Coast tour. A couple things The 430 worked out great, being streamed directly from X-Plane. No more pop-ups, no more window dragging, no more none of that. You just tell X-Plane which display you want it on, and you might make some fine adjustments with the border and the bezel, but that worked out great. So that's one less Air Manager instrument that I need to run through Air Manager. I'm up in the air as far as whether I want to keep the displays separated or put all three of them back on the one visual machine. It was just kind of, while I knew it was a problem, it was an issue. I didn't necessarily like, the weather rendering changes when it comes to when it came, especially with that low cloud layer that we had. Like I could see it out the side windows, but it wasn't present in the front. I didn't necessarily like that. The pros are, since I moved a 4K display from one computer over to the master computer, it literally increased the FPS on both. I mean, well, I can't say on both, but it didn't hurt the FPS on the master computer because it just runs a 1080 instructor station. So, adding that 4K display to it, it didn't hurt it. But taking it from the visual machine definitely helped the side monitors with their FPS. That machine maintained 60 FPS, frames per second, throughout the whole flight. And of course, I cap it at 60. I think the master probably hovers right around 55-ish or so. So they're pretty, so FPS is pretty consistent. And I knew that live weather synchronization was kind of an issue. I wanted to kind of see it for myself, and I can see why, people tend to complain about it. But let's be, the realistic side is that, if you're using a simulator for instrument training, you're there with a double eye. You have an instructor there. They're controlling the weather, and it's pretty much all static or preset weather definitions anyway. And in that regard, it works out just fine. The presets, they all sync just fine. So I don't know. And I'm so used to, running Immersive LCD Pro, that, again, I'd have to buy another license if I wanted to keep the visual separated. The license for that is not necessarily inexpensive, but it is worth it for what the software does. So those are just things I'm going to have to think about. And then there's the display brightness. I'm going to have to reconfigure all of that stuff to get a good balance between the two side windows and the front window, so that everything appears to be the same color, same shade. That way it's not really bright looking out the front, not as bright looking out the sides. So there's a lot of things that I need to think about, because what I wanted to do, and the whole purpose of this test was, because when I built the sim, the displays are actually, the side windows, they're about 10 inches forward of scale. Like, they're about 10 inches closer to the panel than what the actual 172 is. And what my thought process has been is, if, okay, I move the 4K display, the front one, over to the master machine, okay, that frees up a lot more GPU. So my thought was to move the two side displays back to where they would be, okay? But then that creates a gap between the front display and the side displays. And that's when I first built this, that's how I had it, but I was so detracted by the outside area, the walls and the hanger, that I didn't like it, so I moved them forward so I felt more enclosed. And so I thought, well, if I have this, if I move the 4K over, then I have this extra GPU power now. What if I move those monitors back and then put 2 more right in the front of that to take up that space? So there'd be 4 1080p monitors on one card and 1 4K monitor on the other card. That's still, 4 1080s, that's still 4K. So now both cards are going to be processing at the same, okay? And basically my goal, my thought was, okay, if I take, the front and 2 additional monitors, can I create sort of a realistic windscreen like that? Then I'd have that forward view in front of the A-pillar, and still have the windows. And with Immersive LCD Pro, it would really look good because, again, it can take all of that and manipulate it and warp it to where you don't get that fisheye, you don't get the distortion. It basically takes everything, just makes it work and look great. So that was the whole reason behind me testing this out. So, and yeah, to do it right, I'd have to buy a new license of Immersive LCD, and that's about $250 US. Because they offer 2 different types. They offer a hardware locked, or they offer it on a USB dongle, to where you can just move that to machine as opposed to, locking it to a specific PC. So that's what I have on the one, is the USB license. So I can move that to, as I upgrade computers, just move it over, and it's still licensed. So I'd want to do that for the other one. So that adds a bit of a price tag. And then, they have a basic and advanced version as well. Advanced gives you a lot more LCDs, up to 16, and it allows for multiple resolutions. I would just need the basic because I would just be warping the 4K display. But it's still an investment. And then, of course, buying 2 additional monitors. And then reworking the walls of the simulator to bring the windows back where they should be. So I don't know. There's a lot of things I need to think about and want to think about. And if I was independently wealthy, we wouldn't be having this conversation. It would already be done. But yeah. So overall, X-Plane 12.3, it works great. There is one known bug that I know of, and that's with the instructor station for your control pad. So if you have the control pad enabled in X-Plane on the beta, it's really doubling your CPU times. So at least for now, disable that, and it'll perform a lot better for you. Let's see what else. I think that's about it. I'm gonna look at figuring out how to split the X-Plane audio back up. Or maybe I can move the sound bar input over to the slave machine. That might work. Because both PCs output the same sound. So I guess theoretically I can maybe do that. And then move the X-Plane sound back into the headphones. So I don't know. Some things I need to think about. Yeah, I think that's about it. So what did we cover today? About 85 miles. So we can add this leg into our overall. So if we take a look at ForeFlight here, we can delete this one now. Okay. So we started at Seattle. Yeah. Yeah, so we got 4 legs in, which is about approximately 420 miles-ish or so. WestJet, hello, welcome in. The flight went well. We were testing out. This was my first flight with actual true networked visuals. Some of the, I found things I liked, things I didn't like. I liked the performance increase. Now that the 4K monitor's on the master machine, so that really increased performance on the slave machine. There didn't appear to be a whole lot of lag. Everything seemed to move decently enough. The only thing that I didn't like is some of the low-level clouds did not render across all the displays. They were either on the side windows and not on the front, or on the front, not on the sides. And that's just a known X-plane synchronization thing. But the flight went well, stream went well. Hope you were doing well. And I think that's about it. Real quick, I want to give some thank yous out. Let me back up here. I do want to give some thank yous to... Okay. New channel follows while we were offline throughout the week. Mocha Dingo came in with a new channel follow. Fly Conti came in with a new channel follow, formerly known as Continuum. Hecklac came in with a new channel follow, greatly appreciated. Snacks des Avions and November 1 EFS with a new channel follow. And then today, came in with the raid was High 15 TD. Came in with his raid and hope his stream went well. And then new channel follow from Dylan1496, greatly appreciated. And Hawker125 with your resubscription, greatly appreciated as well. So yeah, hopefully, but the really neat thing now, and now I'll just show you. I can show you real quick here. Give me just a minute to get some things reconfigured. Okay. Properties. Let's share this one. Okay. Okay, so that didn't work out like I wanted to. Give me just a second here. Let me get this. Okay. So one of the neat things now, and let me turn this off. And we'll go up here to settings. Okay. And we'll go to graphics. So before, you had to pop out your GPS, you had to pop out your G1000, then you had to drag it over to whatever window hardware you were running it on. Now you just select your monitor that you want. You have all of these options here now. So we can put the 430 on a monitor, the 530, the CDU, MFD, PFD. We have all these various options now that we can send directly over to a display. And then you can adjust the border or the margins here, and you can even turn the bezel on and off. You know, so all of that is now native. So that part's really great. That is a new feature, which for cockpit builders is phenomenal, because the 2D panels, once you drag them to a different video card, really kind of sucked up your FPS. And then, you know, of course, the bug with the instructor station. So if you use, we'll show you here. Okay. If you have X-Plane control pad enabled, it'll double your CPU times. Not sure why. That's a new thing as of, 12.3.0. It is a known bug. It is being worked on. So just keep that in mind. If you run the instruct control pad, stick with 12.2.1 if you need the control pad. You can always download the beta in a different directory and try it out. But if you need the control pad, then you need to stick with 12.2.1 currently. Anything else? The beta is out publicly, so I can talk about this stuff now. This is all stuff that I've been testing on alphas over the past several weeks. But now that it's out, we're allowed to chit chat and talk about it. And I like bringing bugs to your attention, because people are a lot less upset when they know about something, or if they know something's going to happen, than if they find out about it. So if I know a problem, I try to do my best to inform you, and if I find out something cool, I try and do my best to inform you as well. So, yeah, I think that is it for me today. I'm hoping to get the next leg in. I've got a busy week, I'll be honest, with work and everything, and the kids coming back. I'm hoping to squeeze another flight in this week sometime. I am just not sure when exactly. But yeah, until then, I hope you all take care and stay safe. Take care of each other. That's always very important. Let's see who we can possibly go and raid. Hawker, greatly appreciated. Oh, let's just go and raid Red Baron Flies. He is tooling around in Microsoft Flight Simulators. Let's go say hi to his channel. If you cannot stay for his stream, please just stay for the raid, and we will see you all for our next unscheduled flight. Have a wonderful night, everyone, and we'll see you later.